Greetings gamers, welcome to part number 58 of my Let's Play Fire Emblem 9, Path of Radiance. And in today's episode, I'm winding down this series, at least the playable part of the series, about to fight Ashnard. I do believe he decides that he is done with his patiently waiting for you at turn 10. So it's going to be a few turns where I'm just going to continuously skip, because all the enemies that are nearby and whatnot, I'm not really going to worry too much about routing this chapter. I would like to KO Bryce, and I think I have more than enough turns to do so. And in doing so, I would be able to then use the Speed Wing for a specific character I'm going to be recruiting in this particular chapter, which is an interesting thought, to say the least. A character being recruited now. Would be really nice if that cat would have actually been KO'd by Ike last turn because of this wonderful thing called being able to move up forward. I guess it doesn't particularly matter though, because, oh well, Rayson can't really reach unless I shove him. So that's what I'm gonna do. Can he reach now? Almost, almost. This is why I love the shove mechanic in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, the Tellius games. I think it is so very underrated. It's one of the best mechanics of these games. Hilariously, a lot of people would probably say, man, that's a pretty low bar, but it's actually really high, because the fact is that it's really strong, really powerful, really useful, and allows you to do some pretty crazy things when it comes to positioning and such. So you're the enemy general, eh? You're much younger than I had imagined. My age matters not. The palace will be ours this day. We will not relinquish it so easily. But allow me to introduce myself as befits a warrior. I am Bryce of Dayan. And I am Ike of the Grail Mercenaries. Now, let us begin. Yeah, Bryce does a pretty hefty amount of damage to Ike, but he is going to get defeated, unfortunately for Bryce. So, let me just go ahead and do that. It is too bad you can't get a hold of the Wishblade, but you wouldn't really be able to use it for anything significant. Your name was Bryce, was it not? You fought a good fight. As did you, Ike. I commend you. Your style of fencing is unique. Who was your teacher? My father, Grail. I thought I recognized that style. You truly are Gawain's. I see it now. The resemblance is strong. Farewell, knight. It's probably the way Bryce wanted to go, because of the incredible evil that he found out, particularly about this chapter, from the mouth of his own king. Sometimes in Fire Emblem and in other story media, you have these instances where it's very obvious. I'm going to go ahead and... I can't heal Ike from there. She would heal probably much more. Yes, she's healing him fully. We'll go through this sort of, I want to say, arc of saying, like, look, there's bad guys that are actually honorable, and, you know, this is true. This, you know, bad guys aren't always totally bad in every instance and scenario. But, due to that, what you see is that somebody like Bryce, who finds out the truth of the king that he is serving, doesn't necessarily want to have any business serving him anymore. And I would say that it's a good thing to point out. It's also good that somebody like Bryce, who wouldn't want to serve Ashnard, isn't just forsaking fighting for the king, because he is still a Dayan soldier through and through. And goodbye, Sir Knight. You might have been a defender of Bryce, but you did not do your job greatly. Now, these dragons are going to be a little bit of a different story. This one has 39 strength, 34 defense. That's insanity. I'm only going to be doing 10 damage times 2 to this guy. I definitely need to get these gone before Ashnard charges down here. So, yes, we got to see Ike's critical. Though you are guaranteed to see his second critical. It's something I haven't talked about in this game, but every character in Path of Radiance has 2 criticals. And they're both particularly for the 2 types of attacks. Attacks that do KO and attacks that don't. So whenever Ike does the triple backflip into the front spin critical, that means he's not KOing with that. I don't like this necessarily because most of the units in this... Well, I do like this. I think it's cool to have multiple criticals, but I don't like the fact that most of the units in this game who do have multiple criticals, like, for instance, this is the cooler crit. Ike's other critical is, you know, it's okay, but it's definitely not as cool. So it's almost like, once you get to a certain point where your units are too strong and they KO everything all the time, I don't think... Yeah, I don't even know I'm trying this. When you get to the point where your units are too strong, they KO everything with a crit, you never see those crits. And I think the dragons in Gritnia Tower and then this particular chapter was the first times I ever saw Ike perform that crit in actual combat. Will you not come to me? In that case, I will bring the fight to you. Yes, one of the most terrifying things in this game. The great King Ashnard actually is a moving boss. And what's interesting too is you're not too likely to get to him by the time he would move. The first time I played this game on difficult mode, because I was playing blind, I was blindsided by this. I had to end up restarting the chapter. You do have to be very careful about where you place your other units near. Ashnard, I don't think he will ever canto away from Ike, so he will just stay next to him and attack. But, yeah, it's not great. I halfway want to say this guy will heal Ashnard, though. And so will he. So, what I am going to do is I'm actually going to lead Ashnard a little bit further back. I mean, just look at his insane movement. And then I also need to take the rest of my units and move them into position elsewhere. And this is very important because what's going to happen is that once Ashnard is down here, he has 10 movement. He has the most movement a unit can possibly have in this game. Unless you were to... Well, there's a couple exceptions. Like, for instance, Rayson. I think Rayson has... Yeah, he has 10 movement. There's actually no way to get Rayson higher than 10 in this particular game. But it can happen in other games. It's funny, too, because most people who say that they don't like the idea of a movement growth or anything of the sort, you never play the particular game that has such, where you're going to see a lot of movement on a unit. It's just not likely. I remember that stance well. So your father taught you swordplay, did he? How very happy that makes me. Mad King Ashnard, I will cut you down with this blade and end your reign of terror. You cut me down? Good. If you possess the strength to do so, then so be it. That process is the principle on which my ideal world operates. What are you talking about? He's speaking English, a language you should be able to understand, Ike. This isn't difficult. Alright, attacking a defenseless Legoose. And he didn't even double. Wow, that's kind of insane. Yeah, these reinforcements will eventually catch up, but I don't think they're going to be any kind of significant issue. The problem with Ashnard is he heals 9 each turn, so that means that you absolutely want to attack him every chance you can. And because Ashnard doesn't have any close range skills... Ooh, nice. Very nice. Because Ashnard doesn't have any close range skills, like Luna or anything of that sort. And I do have to be very careful about his movement range. Okay, he cannot reach. Yeah, because he doesn't have any close range skills, you don't have to worry about attacking him up close. Like the Black Knight, you always want to attack him at range on your turn. Let him attack you up close on his turn. That's way more than acceptable. Killer Bow. Wow, 55 crit. Ashnard, come on. You can do better. Luckily for me, I don't really care if he did do better. I have plenty of units over here to take care of one singular cat, right? And Tormod is showing him how to do it. How to perform a critical attack in Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance. At least you match the color of thunder that you were just struck down by. Oh, yeah. Perfect. So he's going to heal 9 HP, which will put him at 24. Then he's going to attack Ike. It's still going to take a couple of turns for me to defeat the Black Knight. Because I have multiple people capable of healing, I also have the Ashira staff and the Hamurn on me currently, I do not actually think there is going to be any serious struggle here. Very strange that he did actually move back some. I'm going to be continuing to move my units to the right just a little bit. I do not want Ashnard to have any kind of thoughts about going that way. And especially if he decides to canto way down, that would be brutal. And of course, I do have several healing units. Be very careful. Ashnard can pretty much one-shot most of my units. And if he's not one-shotting, it's close. It's close with most of my units. So with that in mind, I definitely don't want to pull punches here. Alright, so what this means is after I heal up Ike, Ashnard is going to attack Ike, and then he is going to literally be defeated. As long as he doesn't get healed. I don't think he should be, because he should be relatively well outside of the range of the particular healer up north. But yeah, the lucky Aether proc in the beginning of this battle is what made this fight take several turns less than it should have. Because you're only doing 9 damage with Ike, and then he's healing 6 of that, which is absurd. Do you think you can defeat me? It's not over yet. I haven't seen all you are capable of. What are you doing? Now is the time to use this. No, you blind, stupid fool. And Ashnard gets his late promotion. Of sorts. Flee, get away, everyone. It feels so good. He's touching the medallion, but he's still sane? Ike, we can't win like this. Call one of the battalion commanders. Do it now. Okay, cool. So, in any difficulty besides difficult mode, you are able to call any one of these for turn 2 of this chapter and onward. You will only get to call one of these so-called battalion commanders when Ashnard transforms in difficult mode, so they're not all that useful. They're not really that significant of a use in the first place. They all can damage the Ashnard. Not well, not great, but they can do it. So I'm going to be calling Gifka because he is the strongest. I'm not too sure, but it might be possible that Gifka with the Speed Wing will double Ashnard. If that's true, then great. If not, I'm not even going to bother giving him the Speed Wing. I'm just not going to worry about it. I have arrived. What is that thing? So Ashnard tried to use the medallion, did he? Fool. Ah, yeah. So before I talk about my new... Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about my new unit first, because my new unit is a little bit less impressive and imposing than Ashnard. This is Gifka. Gifka is a black lion. He's the only black lion in the series, because even though there are lions in Radiant Dawn, none of them are a black lion, and no. So he can't possibly double... I think Tibarn is the one who can double him at +2 speed, which really doesn't matter either way. So Gifka is interesting. He is level 20. He has growth rates. Hilariously, I'm just going to tell you them, just like I did with Galzus, because I think it's interesting he has growth rates, even though he cannot level up. It shows he has 0 EXP, not 2 dashes of EXP, but he cannot level. This is very strange. I'm not sure why this is. I guess it was like an in-game hint of Radiant Dawn was coming or something. 160 HP growth, 75 strength, yet his strength is maxed. 5 magic, 70 skill, 60 speed, 40 luck, 50 defense, and 30 resistance. So the overwhelming majority of, all 3 of the battalion commanders have very, very similar growths. The only difference is that Naysala actually has a pretty wildly high magic growth, and he has the most levels to grow for not being really a magical unit. Though Naysala does have access to a magical attack in Vortex, which is the Raven's occult skill in this game. It's basically being able to cast Elwind at range. We saw that this was a thing back in Chapter 19, so I don't really feel the need to show off his stats. And I also showed off Tibarn. Now, Gifka comes with a claw that has 10 might, 95 hit, and a Legu's band, a band that when equipped allows its wielder to maintain animal form at all times. Abilities are not affected for Legu's nobles only. This does not work. Well, I don't know if this works for Rayson, honestly. I wouldn't mind trying, but the problem is that I don't want Rayson anywhere near this ridiculous fight right now. And, you know, that's just how it's going to be. So Gifka right here, he can help. He has Roar. Immobilize enemies on the next turn does not work against certain units. This does not work against Ashnard. So don't expect it to proc. He can do a pretty reasonable amount of damage to Ashnard, but not like an insane amount. So he's only going to be doing 15 damage, which, you know, is still a lot. It's still decent. Ashnard now has 80 HP, 40 strength. Oh my gosh, I thought he had 30 speed. So Gifka can double him. Oh yes. So 40 strength, 25 magic, 30 skill, 28 speed, 10 luck, 35 defense, 30 resistance. His Gurgerant is still the same. This guy is insanity. I want to say he's one of the toughest endgame bosses in Fire Emblem history. Not maybe the toughest or like the most incredible or anything of the sort, but he's definitely tough. Okay. So I'm going to chant and move Gifka. A 60 attack. This means that Ike cannot survive 2 hits from him, because Ike was taking 27 damage before. Now he has 5 more, so he's taking more than that. It's just not going to be necessarily great for Ike. Speed increase. That's awesome. So as I can show, yep, he takes 32 now. I'm going to have to heal up Ike twice in order to attack him once this turn. And of course, like I said, I'm going to continue attacking Ashnard up close. Very incredible. So skills make Ashnard kind of a joke of a fight, and that's why some people would probably necessarily scoff at the fact that I say he's a hard boss or one of the harder bosses. The reason why I say that is because you only have 3 units that can fight him. And it seems like I'm doing fine, but I'm getting lucky procs of Aether. Now, if I had Resolve on Ike, as I showed in my previous Let's Play, even though it wasn't on difficult mode, you can pretty well see that there is no way that Ashnard would stand much of a chance against Ike in Resolve. And Ashnard does so much damage, even when Ike has maximum defense and maximum HP, he's going to, literally going to, just put Ike in Resolve and then be defeated. Hilariously. Hey, that's kind of weird. Where does it show AS? And it doesn't. Of course not. So he has 30 speed. Ashnard has 28 speed. Why is he not doubling? Strange. I'm very sorry. I am moronic here. He needs a second speed wing. Oh, yeah. It's always been 4 speed in Fire Emblem. I don't even know what I'm talking about. You're the one they speak of in whispers, the Lion King Shadow. What are you doing so far from your body, Shadow? Am I so terrible that your king hides in fear? Your strength, King of Daen, even with your medallion, is not sufficient. That is why I'm here. If I fail to stop you today, then your next opponent will be our king. But first, this impostor will measure your fighting prowess. What impudence! Are you prepared to become a pile of bones for your king? You'll make a fine snack. Alright, so the final attack is going to be delivered by Ike. Excellent, excellent. So good. More, I say. At this time of ascension, it's not enough, not enough. Now it is truly over. Ina, stay back. The king's mount is still alive. Stay back. Ina? No. What's going on? His mount is so calm. Ike, let them be. Nazir, what's this all about? That is her mate. As death nears, he has regained his sanity. King Daen's mount is Ina's Mate?
Rajan.
Leanne, what is it? A Legoose? No, it can't be. Ashnard's mount was a wyvern, wasn't it? What are you doing? Be patient, please. There's something we want to try. Huh? Rayson, that's... Leanne told me that Dragon's true form had been warped, so he sang the Cauldron of Rebirth.
Right, Jayan. Right, Jayan? Do you know who I am?
Ina?
Yes, you recognize me.
You were made to suffer because of me. I'm sorry.
Rajan, oh, Rajan.
Ina, let's return to Goldor. The two of us together.
I will go anywhere, my love, as long as it is with you.
Ina, from this day forward, forever.
Rajan.
He was one of the dragon tribe? That's right. He and Ina were engaged to be married. And then he was driven mad by King Dayan and his form warped. I see.
Aha, is that... Nope, dang. Here it is.
What is it, miss? Did you find something?
The medallion, Ike, the medallion. I finally have it back.
Miss, that medallion is...
Yeah, I know. Rayson, Leanne.
What?
Here.
Oh.
The medallion belongs in Serenus Forest. My mother was only holding it for Lilia.
Leanne, you take it. Thank you, daughter of Ina. Or Elena. In the memory of my departed sister, I accept the medallion from you. And that was the completion of Endgame Repatriation. Now it is time for the good old epilogue, starting in Crimea Castle. Looks much more beautiful, more vibrant, less Ashnardy. Ike dresses each one of the groups in this epilogue, and I think it's interesting. It's basically what most epilogues do in a way, but you'll see, there's some interesting things here that I think go unnoticed. For the past year, I've been focused on winning this war. I stand here today as a testament to your fortitude and commitment. I understand this will never suffice, but I wanted to take a moment to say something to you all. Thank you. I hope I may continue to rely on you. Of course, I hope that I may continue to be of service.
You've grown so much. I would like nothing better than if Commander Grail and Elena could see you now.
What a long road we've traveled, and yet, in many ways, it seemed to pass so quickly. I'm glad it's finally over.
We did well, didn't we? I'm sure Mom and Dad would be proud of us.
Great job, Ike. Of course, if I hadn't been by your side the whole time, victory might have slipped away.
Commander Ike. I'm going to keep practicing so I can be better than ever. Thanks for having faith in me.
Finally, it's over. At long last, we can return to a life without war. Praise the blanker. Like, are we going back to being mercenaries? I'm a great soldier and all, but the easygoing life of a mercenary is the only life for me. Now, let's go find some good-looking lasses.
Bah, I suppose you want some kind of congratulations, right? Well, too bad. You're a snot-nosed whelp, and I'm still better than you. Don't ever forget that.
Hey, boss, we did it. Woohoo! You know, I am completely in love with your fighting style. If I could train under you, it would be great. So, let me stick around for a while, alright?
I've no more work here. I will be leaving you shortly. If you have need of any of my services, you know how to reach me.
The first group is over. Ike has dealt with the Grail mercenaries. It is time to end this episode, unfortunately. I want to thank you for joining me. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe. And while you're at it, have a great and glorious day gaming.